All right, let's talk about concealed versus open carry. So for the purposes of license to carry versus constitutional carry, they're one and the same. So open carry means you can see the handgun. Doesn't matter how it's carried. It can be on a holster. It could be an outside the waistband. It could be a chest rig. You want to openly display it, you can openly display it. It basically means it's openly carried, which is allowed under LTC as well as constitutional carry. Concealed means it's out of sight, out of mind. Doesn't matter whether it's in a pocket, a purse, a bag. It's just basically you can't see it. So there's advantages to open carry. There are advantages to concealed carry. Big advantage to concealed carry, stay below the radar, which is not necessarily a bad thing. Advantage to open carry, you put your average criminal on notice that you're not going to be an easy victim. And I know a lot of people, when they start carrying, they think, you know what, I never want to openly carry because I don't want to attract that undue, unnecessary attention. Well, it does give you options under open carry versus concealed carry. So one of the advantages of open carry, like I mentioned, it puts your average criminal on notice. So if you're in a high threat environment, say you're walking back to your car from HEB, Walmart late at night, and it's not the best area or whatever, you could openly carry. And people say, well, no, that puts you at an advantage to the bad guy. They know you have a gun. Exactly. They know you have a gun. Most criminals will go find an easier victim. And that's the truth right there. You're not the low-hanging fruit. So there's advantage to open carry. There's advantage to concealed carry. One and the same. You want to do both, you can do both. So just know that you can do either or under a constitutional carry as well as licensed carry. Printing. It used to be illegal to see the outline of the gun. That is no longer the case. It used to be illegal that if you can see a bulge in your pocket or on your strong side, that was illegal. That is not the case. And folks, that's something I don't think you even need to be concerned about. Most people don't know what to look for. Most people don't even know what color shirt you're wearing once they turn their head and look a different direction, much less the telltales that you might be carrying that gun concealed especially. I can't tell you how many times I'll be out about in public, and it's not that I openly carry frequently, it's just I do openly carry. And at times I'll be openly carrying my handgun and people don't even notice that I am carrying my gun openly. So concealed, unless you're somebody like myself who's always looking for somebody, the telltales that they might be carrying that gun, people don't know what to look for. And when it goes back to open carry, every once in a while when I'm out openly carrying, like I said, I don't open carry that often, but when I do, it's generally a positive interaction. Every once in a while, I do get a negative Nancy. Somebody who doesn't like guns, doesn't like open carry, or for whatever reason, just doesn't like that I'm carrying the gun, and they feel compelled to tell me that they don't like the gun. My common response to somebody that says something like that is this: you live in Texas, start acting like it, because I don't care. And that is the truth. I don't care. For a number of years, I was always concerned about what people might say or think. I've carried a gun my entire adult life, and for the longest time, I made sure it was concealed because I didn't want to attract undue, unnecessary attention, didn't want to upset people. The game changer for me was Sutherland Springs, the active shooter that shut up the church in Sutherland Springs. That changed my mindset completely. Folks, I carry a gun to protect my family, to protect your family if necessary. And if somebody gets offended that I might be carrying a gun, I don't care. And that's the attitude I think you need to take on. Because if you're always concerned about what people might say or think, you will have a tendency to leave the gun in the house or leave it in the car. And that is when Murphy likes to visit us. I'm not telling you to piss people off, but stop worrying about if somebody knows you're carrying a gun. Because ultimately, if you need that gun, it's going to do you so much better on your person than leave it in the car or in the house or wherever else like that. So carry a gun and stop worrying about what people might notice, because they don't notice that you're carrying a gun, especially when it's concealed. Different techniques inside the waistband. I like inside the waistband, strong side. It allows you to carry the gun concealed pretty easily, but if you need the gun, you can get the gun pretty quickly. Appendix carry, you carry it up front. For the longest time, I didn't like appendix carry. Then I went to a slimline style gun, and it just works better for me. There's advantages to both. Ultimately, when it comes to carrying a gun, you can't rely on one technique to carry in all situations. Like I like appendix carry. It's very fast and efficient. But when I'm like going to church and I'm wearing a suit, I'll do strong side and do inside the waistband because it's just a little bit easier to tuck in a shirt. So one technique may not work in one scenario, or different clothes, different ways to carry. Outside the waistband, strong side. I like outside the waistband. It's one of the easiest ways to carry a gun. I prefer Kydex plastic versus leather because leather collapses on you while Kydex doesn't. Shoulder rigs, shoulder holsters, great technique when you're outside, outdoors, hunting and fishing, or generally when I go for a run, I'll carry on some sort of waistband, fanny pack, or some sort of chest rig. It's just an easy way to carry a gun. It doesn't necessarily even interfere with the waistline. That chest rig works pretty well. Fanny packs, man bags, MRSs, guys, gals, if you're going to carry in some sort of bag or purse, make sure that the gun is in some sort of holster mechanism to protect your trigger. Ankle holsters work well for smaller handguns. They don't work so well for large frame handguns. And if you think you want to carry in a boot because you watch some sort of spaghetti western, after some trying this a few times, I'm telling you, boot carry is a very difficult thing. You'll spend about 10 minutes trying to get to the gun, and it's going to rub your calf muscle all the time. So ankle holsters work well for smaller handguns, but not so well for large frame handguns. Thigh holsters, if you're a lady that's in a dress, or a guy in a dress, I guess, you want to carry a gun underneath the dress. It's a pretty easy way to carry. Purses. Ladies, if you're going to carry a gun in a purse that wasn't specifically designed to carry a handgun, look for some sort of purse that's got an outside compartment. So when you're searching for the gun, it's very easy to access. If you just keep it in the general area on that purse, you'll be searching around in your 20-pound dump bag all day long looking for that gun. So look for some sort of outside compartment. The Liberty holster, it's an interesting holster. It clips to the fabric material. So my wife goes walking a couple times a week with a friend at a local park, and for the longest time she would leave the gun in the car because it's just too inconvenient to carry the gun. And in her defense, wearing yoga pants and a t-shirt is difficult to carry a gun. The nice thing about the Liberty holster, it clips to the fabric material. So if she were to draw the gun would come out, not the entire holster mechanism. So that's one thing to look at, that if you're not wearing a belt, that when you actually draw the gun's going to come out, not the entire holster. Belly bands, they're a big piece of elastic with Velcro. They basically go around the waistline. It goes underneath the clothing. So if you want to wear shorts, you can do it inside the waistband, shorts and t-shirt or scrubs. It's a very effective way. The gun virtually disappears on you. Things to consider. What are you going to be doing? Where are you going to be going? Because that may dictate how, or if you're going to be able to lawfully carry that gun. Spare magazines. I'm a huge advocate of carrying some sort of spare magazines either on my person or in my vehicle. I don't know how many rounds it'll take to stop somebody, nor do you. Carrying a spare magazine is not that difficult. Put a spare magazine in your front pocket. Put it in your door compartment. Or ladies, what's another 6 ounces going to be in your 15-pound purse? Carry a spare magazine. Vehicle gun versus concealment gun. It's kind of a dilemma. When you're carrying a gun, you want the tiniest little gun that fits in your front pocket, right? Until you need a gun, then you want the largest bazooka you can find. So you need to find a gun that works well for you. And what I always stress is carry the gun you shoot and shoot the gun you carry. And what I mean by that is this. I know how to drive my wife's car, and she knows how to drive my truck. But both those vehicles handle differently under stress. So if I needed to accelerate and brake and all that stuff at the same time in her vehicle versus my vehicle, it's going to be a little bit different on that muscle memory. Same thing with a firearm. So look for a gun that you can carry relatively easily and shoot relatively well. Tiny little handguns are easy to conceal, but they're difficult to shoot accurately. A mid-size handgun is not that difficult to carry, but you're going to be a lot more accurate with it. And ultimately, accuracy is everything. So find a balance that works well for you. Thinking before you move, being aware of what people might notice. And I said don't worry about it, but honestly, folks, there are some places, there are some businesses that just don't like handguns. Like any business up in Austin, Texas. They just don't like guns up there. So kind of read the room. Several years ago, a student was talking about how after open carry went into effect, he was walking into a restaurant. They had a 3007 sign, and he wasn't wearing an outside the waistband holster, so he concealed that gun, and he sat down for lunch. While he was sitting there for lunch, the shirt rode up, the gun become exposed. One of the wait staff came up to him and said, "Sir, we don't allow guns here. You need to depart." "Oh, I'm sorry, I'll reconceal it." "No, no, we just want you to leave." Ultimately, he had to leave because they asked him to leave. So if you are in an anti-gun environment, make sure you're staying below the radar. Also, if you work for the government, or if you work for a politically correct business entity or an entity that works for the government, you kind of need to be aware of who's around you and what people might notice. In other words, you don't want to lose your job as well. I'm not worried about losing my job. No one's going to fire me. If they see me walking around Home Depot and I'm carrying a gun, I'm not going to lose my job. Those of you that work for the government or politically sensitive, you kind of need to be aware of that. So kind of read the room. Lights, lasers, pepper spray, secondary tools, some sort of self-defense tool. Folks, I'm a huge advocate of carrying some sort of self-defense tool. You might be really good with your kung fu, but it's not as good as Glockitsu. So find a tool that'll help balance out the odds. Some common self-defense tools other than firearms is like OC pepper spray. Pepper spray is a very powerful deterrent. I don't care how tough some guy thinks he is, get some pepper spray in your eyes. It makes grown men cry every single day. The nice thing about pepper spray, it's not illegal to carry here in the state of Texas. It has a standoff distance of about 10 to 12 feet. So when you're deploying pepper spray, aim it at the eyes. So spray it from ear to ear for 1 to 3 seconds and then run. Don't stand there and wait for it to take effect. Run away because it takes a few minutes for it to start burn and irritate the eyes. If they're wearing sunglasses or a cap, that might take a little bit longer for it to start irritating the eyes. Pepper spray works very well on 2-legged animals as well as 4-legged animals. If you are concerned about a dog coming up on you while out for a walk or a run, pepper spraying may not stop Cujo, but it'll change that dog's attitude very, very quickly. I've sprayed multiple dogs over the years, and dogs respond almost instantly to pepper spray. It's a very effective deterrent. I do like pepper spray, and it is something I always keep on my vehicles. But one tool I carry with me, even when I cannot carry a firearm, is a strobing flashlight. The ability to tell someone stop, go away, and strobe them. Night, day, rain, wind, or shine, this is a very effective self-defense tool. What I like about a strobing flashlight, there is no place I can't take this. I can take this into any government building, onto any airplane, to any third world piece of crap country, and I've got a fairly effective self-defense tool. It doesn't take much a bright light or a strobing light for your eyes to start responding where they're just blinking. In other words, an attacker or a potential attacker would have problems closing the distance. The other thing I like about a strobing flashlight, if I were to use this doesn't necessitate a law enforcement response. So let's say you're at the gas station walking back to your car and all of a sudden some strange Bubba starts coming your way. Something's not right with the guy. You could demonstrate your gun. You could make it exposed so it's open carry. You could do any number of things. Or you could put the light in his eyes. Both of them are going to be fairly effective. One of them is a lot less likely to see a law enforcement response. So that's one of the things I like about this one. This flashlight's putting at about 450 to 500 lumens. I usually don't use it to strobe people. It's got multiple settings. I'll put it on low power, use it to search for stuff. It's a very effective tool. And what I like I said, you can take this anywhere, even when you can't carry a firearm. Self-defense isn't always about firearms. It's more about a mindset. You never have to be defenseless. There's always something around you. There's always something you can carry on your person to give you more of an advantage, to put the odds in your favor. So self-defense, think of it as a mindset more than a tool. Tools do help, but it's a mindset thing.